I shot my husband in the kneecap with his own service pistol. Not because I wanted him dead, but because the pain in his eyes had to mirror the one he'd buried in me for a decade. The courtroom echoed with his screams that night, but it was the judge's gavel that finally silenced the lies we'd both told ourselves. And in that frozen moment, as the bailiffs wrestled me down, I whispered to the empty air, "This is for the child we never had, the one you erased from the records." The fluorescent lights in the Rikers Island visiting room buzzed like angry hornets, casting a sickly pallor over everything, including my reflection in the scratched plexiglass divider. I stared at the man on the other side, my husband,
Detektive Markus Hale.
the golden boy of the NYPD's Major Crimes Unit. His orange jumpsuit hung loose on his frame, a far cry from the tailored suits he'd worn while climbing the ranks. 6 months into his sentence for embezzling evidence funds, and he already looked like a ghost of the man I'd married. But ghosts, I've learned, still know how to haunt. "Clara," he said, his voice muffled through the speaker, that same velvet tone that had charmed juries and lovers alike. "You gotta believe me."
It wasn't me.
They framed me. I leaned closer, my fingers pressing against the cold barrier. At 38, I was still holding it together, hair pulled back in a no-nonsense ponytail, blouse crisp despite the subway commute from my brownstone in Brooklyn. I'd been a high school English teacher before this nightmare, molding young minds with Fitzgerald and Hemingway.
Now,
I was just the wife of a disgraced cop, dodging pitying glances from neighbors and whispers in the teacher's lounge. Framed by who? Marcus? The Easter Bunny? Or maybe that invisible friend you keep blaming?
his eyes.
Those deep brown pools I drowned in at our wedding. Flickered with something, guilt? Desperation? It's bigger than you know. Internal Affairs. The DA's office. They're cleaning house. I got too close to the Rothstein case. The Rothstein case. The one that had shattered our life like a brick through a windshield. 2 years ago, Marcus led the investigation into the brutal murder of tech mogul Elias Rothstein, found bludgeoned in his Tribeca penthouse. The press ate it up. Wall Street was kid. Shady dealings. A scorned mistress. Marcus cracked it wide open. Or so he claimed, pinning it on Rothstein's business partner.
Victor Lang.
Lang went down for life. And Marcus got a commendation, a bump in pay, and a feature in the Post. Hero cop nails killer. But then the money trail surfaced. Tens of thousands siphoned from the evidence locker, cash meant for informants, now funneled into offshore accounts traced back to Marcus. The Fed swooped in, and just like that, our world imploded. Our savings?
Seized.
Our home? Under lien. And me? Left holding the bag for the one secret I'd kept buried deeper than his sins, the night I confessed to covering up his mistake on the Rothstein scene. I didn't kill Elias Rothstein. But I had wiped his blood from Marcus's knuckles that night, back when love made fools of us both. "You're not here to gloat," he pressed, leaning forward. His breath fogged the glass. "What do you want? Clara?
Divorce papers?
I signed 'em last week." "Not yet." I slid a manila envelope under the partition slot. Inside, a single FOIA request, stamped and official, addressed to the NYPD's Records Division. I want the truth. All of it. The unredacted files from the Rothstein autopsy. The dashcam from your cruiser that night. And the visitor logs from Lang's cell before he hung himself last month. Marcus's face drained of color. "Clara, don't. You dig that up. It'll destroy us both." Us. I laughed. A sharp, bitter sound that echoed off the concrete walls. There is no us anymore. You made sure of that when you let me take the fall for your screw-up. It had started innocently enough. Or as innocent as cop marriages get in this city. Marcus and I met at a 4th of July barbecue in Prospect Park, back when he was a beat cop with dreams bigger than his beat. I was fresh out of Columbia, idealistic, quoting Whitman to anyone who'd listen. He swept me off my feet with stories of busting dealers in the Bronx, his hands calloused from the job but gentle on mine. We married fast, Vegas. Baby. On a whim during his academy graduation. No regrets then. The Rothstein call came on a muggy August evening. I was grading papers in our cramped Queens apartment when my phone rang at 2 a.m. Babe. I need you, Marcus gasped, voice ragged. He was at the scene. Rothstein's penthouse, a circus of flashing lights and yellow tape.
I drov over.
Heart pounding. Because that's what wives do, they show up. He pulled me aside in the alley, away from the uniforms. His shirt was untucked, sleeves rolled up, and there, God, there was the blood. Smeared on his cuff, flecked on his skin. It was self-defense, he whispered, eyes wild. Rothstein came at me during the interview. Swung a lamp. I pushed back hard. He hit his head on the desk. I panicked.
Lies.
Even then, I smelled them. But love is blind. And loyalty is a chain. Rothstein wasn't just any victim. He was connected, Silicon Alley elite, with ties to City Hall and the mob. Marcus had been feeding him tips for months, moonlighting as a fixer. But that night, it went south. Rothstein threatened to expose him. And Marcus ended it. I didn't ask questions. I drove him home, burned his clothes in our bathtub, scrubbed his hands with bleach until my own skin blistered. By morning, the official story was set. Rothstein killed by Lang in a business dispute. Marcus played the hero, planting just enough evidence to seal it. And I became the silent partner in murder. My conscience the only casualty. For 2 years, we thrived on the lie.
Fancy dinners er passé.
Weekends in the Hamptons. Marcus bought me that antique locket with our initials, ironic now. But the embezzlement? That was his greed catching up. He started skimming to fund our lifestyle, thinking no one would notice. Until they did. The trial was a media frenzy. Cop's wife stands by her man, the headlines crowed, even as I testified to his spotless character. Inside, I was rotting. And when the judge sentenced him to 15 years, I walked out of that courtroom a free woman, but chained to the truth I'd helped bury. Back in the visiting room, Marcus shoved the envelope back. This is suicide. Clara. Those records. They don't exist. I made sure. One lie too many. I stood, smoothing my skirt. That's what you claimed last time. But I filed the request anyway. Freedom of Information Act. Can't bury that under a badge. As the guard led him away, his shouts faded. Clara, for God's sake. Think of the baby. The baby. Our ghost child. The miscarriage I'd suffered 6 months after Rothstein's death. Chalked up to stress. But Marcus knew deep down that it was the guilt. The endless nights of me staring at the ceiling, replaying that alleyway confession. I never told a soul, not even my sister in Ohio. It was our secret, festering like an open wound. Driving back over the Brooklyn Bridge, the East River glittering below like shattered glass, I felt the first crack in my resolve. Revenge wasn't just about exposing him, it was about dragging the whole rotten system into the light. Victor Lang hadn't killed himself. Marcus had whispered as much during a conjugal visit. Loose ends, he'd called it. And if those records surfaced, they'd show Marcus's cruiser at Lang's prison the night before. Dashcam capturing a friendly chat that ended with a noose. But secrets have a way of multiplying. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Stop digging. Mrs.
Hale.
Some graves are better left closed. I deleted it, but the chills settled in my bones. This wasn't just payback, it was war. And in New York, wars have casualties. The next week blurred into a haze of lesson plans and late-night research. I pored over public records in the Brooklyn Public Library. The musty stacks a sanctuary from the judgmental stares at school. Principal Hargrove had pulled me aside after parent-teacher night. Clara, the scandal. It's affecting morale. Translation, you're toxic. Pack your books. By Friday, the FOIA response arrived via certified mail, a thick packet from the NYPD. Stamped, partially redacted. My hands shook as I tore it open on the kitchen table. The same one where Marcus and I had shared Thanksgiving toasts. The autopsy report, Rothstein's skull fractured in 2 places, consistent with a fall or a shove from a 6 feet 2 inches cop with a grudge. Then the dashcam footage transcript, Marcus's voice. Timestamped 1:47 a.m. Elias. You son of a bitch. You think you can cut me out? A scuffle. A thud. Silence. My stomach lurched. He'd lied about the self-defense. It was premeditated, a shakedown gone lethal. Buried in the file, a note from the evidence custodian. Item 47 missing. Rothstein's personal ledger.
Signed out by debt. Hale.
August 15th, 23. Return pending. The ledger. The one that could prove Marcus's side hustle with Rothstein, laundering crypto for Albanian gangs. If it existed, it would bury him.
And me?
For covering it up. I needed that ledger. And Victor Lang's visitor logs? They confirmed Marcus's prison visit. But the signature was forged by whom? Saturday morning. I met my contact in a dingy coffee shop off Flatbush Avenue.
Tommy Ruiz. XNYPD.
Now a PI with a liver full of regret and a Rolodex of grudges. We'd connected through a Reddit thread on police corruption. Ironic. The internet birthing my rebellion. Clara Hale, he grunted, sliding into the booth with a manila folder of his own. Balding. Paunchy. With a Yankees cap pulled low. Your hubby's a real piece of work.
But you?
You're playing with fire. Just get me the ledger, I said, pushing an envelope with $5,000, my 401k cashed out. And anything on Lang's suicide. Tommy pocketed it, eyes darting. Ledgers ghosted, poof, into the ether. But I got a lead. Some hack in Queens. Owes me from the old days. Says Hale stashed it in a safety deposit box at Chase Manhattan. Under a dummy name, C. Whitaker. Whitaker. My maiden name. The bastard had used me as his shield, even in his crimes. As Tommy left,
my phone buzzed again.
Unknown. We know about Ruiz. Walk away. Panic clawed at me, but so did rage. I hailed a cab to Midtown, the city pulsing around me like a living beast. Wall Street's ghosts whispered from the canyons of glass and steel, Rothstein's world, where money bought silence and souls. The bank vault smelled of metal and old money. The teller, a bored, 20-something. Handed over the box without question. My ID matched the signature. Inside, the ledger. Leather-bound. Pages crammed with coded entries. Rothstein's elegant script. Hail. Delivery 50K. 7/20. Lang cut in, and there, underlined, miscarriage risk, stress from ease threats.
Hale denies involvement.
He knew. All along. Marcus had known the pregnancy was fragile, that Rothstein's blackmail was the trigger. Yet he'd push me to cover for him. Night after night of lies eroding my body until it broke. Tears stung as I pocketed the book. This wasn't just evidence, it was absolution. My revenge blueprint. But as I stepped onto the sidewalk, a black SUV idled at the curb. The window rolled down, revealing a face I recognized from the trial photos, ADA Rebecca Voss, the prosecutor who'd nailed Marcus with a smile. Sharp features, blonde bob, eyes like ice. Mrs.
Hale.
A word, my heart hammered. About. She stepped out, heels clicking on pavement. The records you requested. They're incomplete for a reason. Drop this, and I can make your life comfortable. Comfortable. I spat. Like Victor Lang's cell? Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Lang was a liability. As are you, if you keep digging. So it was her. The mousy ADA who'd flipped from witness to witch hunter overnight. Rumor had it Voss was Rothstein's lover. Buried in the files. Had she orchestrated the frame to avenge him? Or was she protecting her own cut of the graft? Go to hell, I said, turning away. Her voice followed. Low and lethal. Hell's already here.
Clara.
And Marcus? He's just the appetizer. That night, alone in the brownstone, I pored over the ledger by lamplight. Entries tallied bribes, hits, even a reference to CH.
Cover me.
The betrayal cut deeper than bone. But Voss's threat? It lit the fuse. I needed allies. First call, my estranged brother, Jake. Holed up in a Philly suburb after his own fall from grace. DUI. Lost his construction gig.
Cease.
It's been years.
Years you owe me, I said.
Marcus burned us both. Help me burn him back. He hesitated. Then, what do you need? A ride. And a gun. By dawn, we were rolling south on I-95, the ledger in my lap, like a holy book. Revenge wasn't a sprint, it was a marathon through moral gray. And as the skyline faded in the rearview, I wondered if I'd make it to the finish without losing myself. Philly's underbelly hadn't changed since I last visited, a maze of row houses and corner bars where dreams went to die under neon signs. Jake's pickup rattled to a stop outside a dive called the Rusty Anchor. Rain sluicing off the roof like tears from a drunk. He killed the engine, tossing me a Glock from the glove box. Registered to a ghost. Don't ask. I checked the clip. The weight foreign but fitting in my palm. Thanks,
Jake.
for everything. He gripped the wheel, knuckles white. You sure about this, Clara? Marcus was a prick. But family's family. Family? I echoed, the word tasting like ash. Jake had vanished after Mom's funeral, leaving me to bury her alone while Marcus worked late. Blood ties frayed easy in our clan, Dad's abandonment, Mom's pills. Marcus had been my anchor, until he proved to be the storm. He's not family anymore. He's the reason I lost the baby. Jake's face softened, the brother I remembered from backyard forts. I didn't know. Christ. I'm sorry. We hugged awkwardly over the console, then stepped into the downpour. Inside the bar, the air reeked of stale beer and regret. Tommy Ruiz waited in a corner booth, nursing a whiskey neat. He slid a USB drive across the scarred table. Lang's prison tapes. Hacked from the warden's cloud. Don't tell the feds. I plugged it into my phone. Footage grainy but damning. Marcus and civvies. Slipping into Lang's block at 11 p.m. No audio. But the gestures spoke volumes. A handshake. Then a nod toward the noose dangling from the bunk. Lang's eyes pleaded, but Marcus turned away. Son of a bitch, Jake muttered. There's more, Tommy said, voice low.
Voss was there too, earlier that day.
Counseling session. She signed off on the suicide watch list. The pieces clicked. Voss. Rothstein's secret flame. Covering tracks. Marcus. Her pawn or partner. The ledger hinted at payments to RV, silence fee. She betrayed Rothstein by betting Marcus for intel. Then flipped when Elias died. Framing her lover's killer while protecting her cut. Why tell me? I asked. Tommy shrugged. Hale roughed me up once. Back in 18. Personal.
Plus.
You're buying. We plotted in whispers. Leaked the footage anonymously to the Times. FOIA the Vosslang meetings. Then confront Marcus in Rikers with the ledger. Force a confession on record. But as we left, tires screeched outside. The SUV from Midtown, Voss's goons. 2 suits piled out. One flashing a badge that looked too shiny. NYPD. Step away from the vehicle. Jake drew his piece. But I grabbed his arm. Not here. Run. We bolted through the alley. Shots cracking off brick like fireworks gone wrong. My lungs burned, the Glock heavy in my waistband. We lost them in the warren of streets, doubling back to Jake's truck hidden in a lot. They're onto us, I gasped, slamming the door. Jake peeled out, sirens wailing in the distance. Plan B, back to New York. Hit Voss where it hurts, her office. The drive north was a pressure cooker. Radio crackling with alerts. Shots fired in South Philly. Suspect. Female. Mid-30s. Armed. My face. No doubt. Splash soon. I called my lawyer. A pro bono firebrand from the ACLU named Lena Torres. Clara? Where are you? The feds just raided your house.
Philly.
Listen, I've got proof. Marcus killed Rothstein. Voss covered it. Silence. Then, Jesus. Get to my office.
Now.
We crossed the bridges at dawn. The city awakening to another scorched scandal. Lena's office in Chelsea was a fortress of filing cabinets and feminist posters. She hugged me fierce. No questions. You're a ghost now. Assume new ID. But first, let's weaponize this. By noon, the USB was uploaded to a secure server. Fragments emailed to journalists, Vanity Fair. The Village Voice. The ledger scanned, redacted for my protection. Jake crashed on her couch, exhausted. That afternoon, I slipped into the DA's office building on Center Street. Fake credentials from Tommy hanging around my neck. Freelance reporter. Gotham Gazette. Voss's assistant buzzed me in after a bribe-worthy smile. The ADA's corner office overlooked the tombs, all sleek chrome and framed diplomas. Voss stood at the window. Back to me. Phone to ear. Yes.
Sir.
Hale's wife is contained. The Philly incident? Handled. She hung up, turning with that predator's grace. Mrs.
Hale.
Bold. Coming here. I locked the door, pulling the Glock. Or stupid. Your call. Her eyes widened fractionally, then narrowed. Blackmail? With what? A pilfered ledger? I tossed it on her desk, pages splaying like guts. Try murder. Yours and Marcus's. Rothstein was collateral in your little empire. Voss laughed. A tinkling sound like breaking crystal. Empires crumble. Clara. But survivors? We adapt. She sank into her chair, crossing legs in a pencil skirt that screamed power. Elias was a fool, greedy, reckless. Marcus was his muscle. I was the brains. When Elias threatened to flip on us to the feds, your husband acted. I cleaned up. By framing Lang, Lang knew too much. A necessary evil. She steepled fingers. And you, the loyal little wife, scrubbing blood like Lady Macbeth. Poetic. Rage boiled. But I held steady. The baby. You knew about the stress, the threats. You pushed Marcus to keep quiet. Her mask slipped, a flicker of something human. Miscarriages happen. War casualties. This was the controversy, Voss. A woman clawing up in a man's world. Her ruthlessness a shield against the system's boot. Was she villain or victim? I hated her. But damn if I didn't see echoes of my own steel spine. Why protect Marcus now? I pressed. He's useful. Testifies against bigger fish, the Albanians, and he walks. You expose us. It all burns. The twist hit like a gut punch. Marcus wasn't framed. He was playing both sides. Flipping for immunity. The embezzlement? A ploy to buy time. Stashing cash for his escape. You're lying. Am I? She slid a photo across, Marcus in a safe house. Laughing with feds. Dated yesterday. Betrayal squared. The man I'd avenged was authoring his own redemption arc, leaving me the dupe. I raised the gun.
Confess.
On video. Voss's phone buzzed, ignored. Kill me, and you're done. But let me help. We take down the real players. You get closure. Marcus rots. The offer hung. Tempting. Sides blurred. Who is the betrayer now?
Me.
For pulling the trigger on my marriage? Her. For weaponizing grief? Sirens wailed outside. Jake's text, cops inbound.
Go.
I backed out. Gun trained. Heart splintering. In the elevator, tears came hot and fast. Revenge tasted like bile. Back at Lena's. The news broke. Cop's wife in shootout. Fugitive sought. My face on every screen. Ledger leaks igniting op-eds. Was justice served or stolen? Jake paced. We hit Rikers. Confront him.
No.
My voice cracked. We end it public. That night, I broadcast from a burner laptop, live on a dark web forum. Face blurred. This is Clara Hale. My husband murdered Elias Rothstein. ADA Voss orchestrated the cover. Here's the proof. Uploads flew. Footage. Ledger scans. The internet erupted, Claire confession trending. Debates raging. Hero whistleblower or vengeful harpy. By morning, Voss was suspended. Feds raiding her office. Marcus transferred to solitary. But the threats escalated. My sister's house vandalized in Ohio. Jake's truck torched. We holed up in a Jersey motel. The no-tell kind with vibrating beds and roaches. What's next? Jake asked, bandaging a graze from Philly. Testimony. Immunity for truth, but doubt not. If Marcus flipped, he'd sell me out, admit my cover-up. Prison for me, freedom for him. The moral quagmire. Was vengeance worth becoming the monster? A knock shattered the silence. Not cops, Tommy. Disheveled. With a duffel. Voss's play. She's cutting a deal, blaming you for laying. The room spun.
Sides? There were none left.
Just survival. The Jersey Turnpike stretched like a vein pumping toxicity into the city, and we rode it hard, chasing ghosts in a stolen Honda Civic that smelled of cigarettes and desperation. Jake drove, white-knuckled, while I scrolled encrypted feeds on the burner phone. The world was fracturing. CNN looped my confession video, pundits dissecting it like a cadaver. Empowered survivor or accessory after the fact, one talking head opined, her Botox smile unwavering. Twitter, X, whatever, boiled with memes. Me as a noir dame. Gun in hand. Caption, revenge is a dish best served foia. But the undercurrent terrified. Death threats flooding Lena's inbox. Doxers pinning my location to a 2-mile radius. Cop killer's whore, one read. Another. Rothstein deserved it. Clara's the real criminal. Controversy as intended. But the fallout was a storm, whipping up winds that could bury us. Pull over, I said suddenly, spotting a billboard for Atlantic City. We need air. We ditched the car in a Wawa lot, grabbing coffees and burner sims. Under the sodium lights,
J'ai à smoke.
Offering me one. I took it, inhaling the burn like penance. Remember Dad? He asked. How he'd promised to quit the bottle, then show up hammered at Christmas. Yeah. Smoke curled between us. Marcus was worse. At least Dad owned his poison. Jake exhaled slow. You're not poison, Clara. You're fighting. Am I? Or just dragging everyone down? Voss's offer echoed, join or die. But alliance with the devil? It twisted my gut. Made me question if revenge was noble or just selfish catharsis. Back on the road. Sirens ghosted us from afar. Paranoia. Or pursuit. By Newark. We hit Lena's safe house, a nondescript walk-up in the ironbound, Portuguese bakeries masking the tension. She met us at the door. Laptop glowing like a talisman. Feds want you in. Protective custody. Voss is singing names the Albanians, but pins laying on Marcus solo. You're clear if you flip too. Flip. Jake snorted. Sell out my sister? Survival.
Jake.
Lena's eyes, sharp behind glasses, pinned me. Testify. Detail the cover-up. They cut you slack for spousal coercion. Coercion. The words slithered, rewriting my complicity. Had Marcus bullied me into silence? Or had I chosen it? Blind with love, the gray zone widened, forcing choices that split the soul. I paced the cramped living room, linoleum peeling like old skin. What about the baby? Does that factor? Lena nodded. Manslaughter charge. Maybe. Stress-induced harm. Jury eats that up. Sympathy vote.
Sympathy.
The very thing I'd fled after the trial.
But now?
It dangled like bait. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving. We drove to the federal courthouse in Foley Square, the Honda weaving through traffic like a minnow in shark waters. Security swallowed us, metal detectors beeping accusations. Marshals with eyes like hawks. Upstairs. The U.S. Attorney. A barrel-chested Irishman named O'Connor. Shook my hand too firm. Mrs.
Hale. Brave.
Let's bury these bastards. The deal room was sterile. Coffee bitter. Voss sat cuffed across the table. Makeup flawless. But defeat etched in the lines around her mouth. Marcus, via video link from Rikers, looked hollow-eyed. Jumpsuit rumpled. Clara, he mouthed as the feed flickered on. No sound yet. O'Connor laid it out. Immunity for all, me. Jake as accessory. Even Tommy for hacking. In exchange, full testimony. Marcus on Rothstein's murder. Voss on the cover and Lang's hit. The Albanians? Bait for RICO charges. Voss spoke first. Voice steady.
I met Elias in 21.
Campaign finance. Dirty money funneled through his apps. Marcus handled enforcement. When Elias got cold feet, threatened exposure. Your husband improvised. She glanced at the screen. I protected him because love makes idiots of us. Love. The word landed like a slap. Her eyes met mine, woman to woman, survivor to survivor. The miscarriage? I didn't know. But I should have. We all carry ghosts. Marcus's feed crackled. Clara. Baby.
I'm sorry.
The ledger. I hid it to protect you. Voss twisted it. Liar. I lunged. But O'Connor held me back. The room tensed. The air thick with half-truths. Enough, the attorney barked. Sign or sink. Pen scratched paper. My hand trembled on the dotted line, inking my freedom with betrayal's blood. Jake signed next, muttering curses. Voss. Last. Her signature a flourish of defiance. Debriefs stretched hours, timelines synced, motives dissected. Marcus confessed the shove. He lunged first. I swear, but the dashcam damned him. Voss detailed the prison fix. A guard on payroll. Clean.
Quick.
And me? I clean the evidence. I admitted. Voice flat. Because I believed in him.
O'Connor nodded.
Spousal privilege waived. But the jury'll see duress. As we wrapped, Marcus's voice cut through the speaker. Clara, after this, we can start over. For the baby we lost. Rage ignited. Pure and scorching. There is no we. You erased her, our daughter, with your lies. Silence. Then static. The feed died. Outside. Rain lashed the plaza. Protesters milling under umbrellas. Justice for Rothstein clashing with Free Clara. Camera flashes blinded as marshals hustled us to a van. Safe house in Queens, O'Connor said. Trial in 60 days. But safety was illusion. That night, in a guarded brownstone off Fresh Pond Road, my phone, scrubbed but not silenced, pinged. Unknown, deals break. Watch your back. Voss, or the Albanians, tentacles in every shadow, sleep evaded, nightmares replaying the alley, blood on Marcus's hands mirroring mine. Week 2 in hiding, Jake smuggled in books, Chandler. Hammett to steady my nerves. We played cards, reminisced about Mom's apple pie, avoiding the abyss. But tension simmered. Jake chafed at confinement.
Ignorat.
Clara. This testimony, it's suicide. You're free, I reminded. No charges. Free with a target on my back. He slammed down a queen of spades. And you? Testifying against your own husband? That's cold. Cold. I stood. Chair scraping. He killed a man. Jake. Covered it with my life. And you wiped the blood. The words hung. Brutal. Brother against sister. The fracture widening. He stormed out for air. Guards trailing. I collapsed on the couch. Sobs racking. The controversy peaked. Tabloids dubbed it the betrayed bedfellows, pitting me as vengeful virago versus loyal spouse. Online forums split. Feminists hailed my empowerment. Trads decried wifely disloyalty. No heroes. Just humans clawing through the muck. Lena visited midweek. Briefcase brimming. Good news. Indictment sealed.
Bad. Leak.
Someone tipped the Albanians your name's out. Heart stuttered.
Who?
She hesitated. Suspect Marcus. Plea bargaining for protection. The final knife. My husband, selling secrets for a softer cell. Betrayal's echo chamber. Amplifying every doubt. That night, the hit came. Glass shattered downstairs, Molotov through the window. Flames roared. Smoke choking. Guards shouted. Guns barking. Jake burst in. Clara. Ruth. We scrambled stairs. Heat nipping heels. On the tarred flat, sirens wailed distant. A figure emerged from shadows, suited thug. Silencer gleaming. Jake tackled him. Grunts echoing. I fired the Glock, once. Twice, center mass. He crumpled. Blood pooling black under moonlight. No gore in the prompt. But reality doesn't care. Jake wheezed. Gut shot.
Go.
Testify. I can't leave you. Go. He shoved me toward the fire escape. I rappelled down. Legs jelly. Hitting pavement as feds swarmed. Ambulance lights painted the scene hell red. Jake, critical. Me, custody. But alive. In interrogation.
O'Connor passid.
Self-defense.
Clean.
But the Albanians? They're ghosts now. Voss's intel was partial. Partial. Like everything. The climax loomed. Trial. Where truths would war. Forcing the world, and me, to choose sides in a battle with no victors. The federal courthouse in downtown Manhattan loomed like a colossus of justice. Its granite facade etched with blindfolded Lady Liberty. Ironic, given the scales tipped long before opening arguments. 60 days of safe houses and psych evals had honed me into something sharper. Colder. Clara Whitaker Hale. No longer wife, but witness. My testimony a scalpel to vivisect the lies. Jake pulled through surgery. Tubes snaking from his hospital bed in protective isolation. His thumbs up via video call the only bomb. Finish it.
Sis, verospat.
I would, for him. For the daughter unborn. For the woman I'd buried under loyalty's weight. The courtroom buzzed on day one. A pressure cooker of spectators. Rothstein's teary family in the front row. Voss's colleagues averting eyes. Reporters tapping furiously on laptops. Marcus sat shackled at defense. His gaze locking on mine as I took the stand, pleading. Accusatory. A mirror to my turmoil. Voss. Beside him. Radiated poise. Her deal morphing her from co-conspirator to state's evidence.
O'Connor approached.
Voice booming. Mrs.
Hale.
Recount the night of August 15th, 2023. I gripped the Bible. Swearing truth under God, a deity who'd long ghosted this mess. Words tumbled. The frantic call. The alleyway scrub. The bleach scent clinging for weeks. Gasps rippled. A juror. A middle-aged Latina nodded subtle empathy. And the miscarriage?
O'Connor presid.
Gentle. October 3rd. My voice cracked. The data scar. Stress, the doctor said. But it was the guilt. Covering for murder. It hollowed me. Marcus shifted. Chains rattling. Objection from his lawyer, sustained. But damage done. The room tilted toward me. Controversy crystallizing. Was I victim or villain? Cross-exam. Marcus's attorney, a slick weasel named Hargrove,
Pounced.
You burned evidence. Mrs.
Hale.
Committed a felony. For love. Yes.
No hesitation.
Blind. Stupid love. Or complicity?
He leaned in.
You profited. The Hamptons. The jewelry. Accomplice. Not coerced. Murmurs swelled. Sides drawn. Was my revenge righteous? Or hypocritical vengeance from a tainted hand? Voss testified next. Her narrative a masterclass in deflection. Marcus acted alone in Rothstein's death. I learned post facto. Attempted to mitigate.
Lies.
Laced with half-truths, the ledger her discovery. Lang's end a regrettable oversight. She painted herself reformer. Exposing Albanian rot while downplaying her role. Women like us. Mrs. Hale, we navigate snakes. Sometimes we become them. The jury hung on her words. A matron juror dabbing tears. Empathy? Or recognition of the system's grind? Where ambition devours ethics. Marcus's turn gutted me. Unshackled for testimony. He stood tall. The cop charisma undimmed. Clara, I never meant, but under oath. Crack showed. Rothstein attacked. I defended. The push. Accidental.
Then.
The flip. Voss manipulated me, threatened exposure unless I framed Lang. Voss's glare could curdle milk. The courtroom erupted, objections flying. Judge banging gavel like thunder. Rebuttal. The dashcam audio. Played raw. Marcus's snarl. You cut me out. Elias? After all I've done.
Thud.
Gurgle. Silence. Jury faces paled, even Hargrove deflated. But Marcus twisted. Tampered evidence. Boss's doing. The he said she said vortex sucked oxygen, leaving spectators polarized. Protests outside swelled, believe women clashing with cop lives matter. Signs waving like battle flags. Online. Debates raged. Was Marcus a scapegoat for corrupt brass? Or Voss the puppet master?
Me?
Collateral? Or catalyst? Closing arguments sealed the chaos.
O'Connor tundered. Betrayal's web, spun by grid.
Severed by truth. Hale and Voss. Guilty as charged. Defense. A house of cards. Built on one woman's vendetta. Finger pointed my way. Deliberations stretched 3 days. The city holding breath. I waited in a holding cell. Ironic. The Avenger caged, pacing circuits. Replaying hooks. The shot I never fired. The secrets unearthed. Verdict. Guilty.
Both.
Marcus. Life without parole for Rothstein and Lang. Voss. 25 for conspiracy. Her bar license shredded. Cheers and jeers collided as marshals led them out. Marcus mouthed, I love you, but his eyes screamed hate. Voss, a nod, respect. Or warning, my sentencing, deferred. Immunity held. With probation. Extraordinary circumstances, the judge intoned, citing duress and the miscarriage's shadow. Justice, MS,
Hale.
is not vengeance. But today, it bends toward mercy.
Mercy.
The word tasted foreign, but I swallowed it. Outside, media swarm. Lena shielded me to a waiting car. Book deal?
Podcast.
Teaching, I said. Somewhere quiet, Jake waited at the airport. Crutches clicking. We boarded a flight to Ohio, Mom's old farmhouse. Now his. Fresh start. Or sequel. I smiled faint. The twist landed weeks later. In a manila envelope postmarked Albany, Voss's appeal filing. Buried exhibit. My DNA on Rothstein's lamp, lifted from the crime scene. Pre-scrub. She'd planted it, framing me as the killer to flip the script. But why send it? A final gambit? Or olive branch? Proof she'd shielded me all along? Debate fodder. Was Voss redeemer? Sacrificing her freedom for mine? Or mastermind?
Ensuring mutuelle destruction?
I burned it in the farmhouse hearth. Ashes scattering on autumn wind.
No answers.
Just ambiguity, a life reclaimed from the brink. Revenge's end? Not triumph, but truce with the darkness. In America, justice is a courtroom drama, full of plot holes and applause. I walked free, but scarred, debating still if the betrayer was him, her, or the mirror. The child we lost? Her memory fuels quiet days, grading papers in a small-town school. Jake's barbecues. Sunsets over cornfields. Happy?
No. But whole.
And in quiet moments, I wonder if records lied once, what truths wait in the next request.